All right, there you are. Okay, I'll just put you on mute. So
Oh, I can do that.
Okay, I can do it too, doesn't matter. And then you can go ahead, come on your mat. Okay. All right, so we're going to do our spring equinox practice today. Doesn't really feel like spring out there. It's pretty cold out today, but officially this evening we have the spring equinox, and it's my tradition to honor the equinoxes and the solstices in my teachings and my personal practices, because I just feel like it's something that gives ritual and meaning to my life. I kind of feel like as a culture, especially if we don't have our own sort of maybe like a spiritual group or organization or religion, we kind of maybe lack that sense of ritual in our lives that more indigenous cultures have. So to me, this is a way that I can really honor nature and the cycles of nature. So the equinoxes are when we have equal day, equal night. So I always work on the concept of balance during the equinoxes. So we'll be doing that today. We're also going to do some hip work to open up, work with the hips and the legs. So you can go ahead and come down on your back and we will get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is come into our breathing. And I'm just going to stay seated. You can just go ahead and make yourself comfortable on your back. And we'll start to establish a cycle of breath that has an even inhale and an even exhale. So once you take a few rounds, get comfortable with your breath, when you feel ready to, let's see if we can make the inhale and the exhale match in length. And yoga has a term for this. It's called samavriti. Sama is a word, Sanskrit, kind of means same, even. And then vritti usually relates to the mind, fluctuations in the mind. But it also can mean like a cycle or just a fluctuation in general. So here it's the fluctuation of our breath. But we often find that once we regulate the breath, we start to also bring balance to the mind. And we can think of balance in so many ways in our yoga practice. So not only physical balance, like a tree pose, that's balance, but yoga helps us balance in so many other ways. For example, now the balance with our breath. Yoga helps us even out imbalances in our musculoskeletal system. So we often find one side's tighter than the other or weaker than the other. So yoga can help us even out those asymmetrical patterns in our bodies. Another way yoga helps us find balance is that all of our daily living is really focused on the external world. Right? We're looking at screens, we're talking to other people, and everything is focused outside. But yoga asks us to go inside. And in that way, it also helps us find balance because when we go inside, we find more healing. We find that we can balance our nervous system. There's another way we can find balance in a yoga practice. So now that you've had a few rounds of even cycle of breath, I'll remind you, we'll try to work with that today in our practice. We're going to start with our somatic movement just to warm up. So let's go ahead and extend the legs out straight. And just let your arms be at your side. And bring your attention to your right leg and let it start to roll out to the side. And then from there, slide the foot up and come into like a reclined tree pose and bring your foot towards your inner thigh. And then we're going to go ahead and bring the knee straight up toward the ceiling. Foot is flat. And then extend the leg back out. We're going to work on the same leg for a few rounds. Let the leg roll open. Bend the knee. Slide the foot up. Bring the foot flat. and then extend the leg. So we're starting to build some fluidity in our hip joint. Open the leg, slide it up like tree pose now, stay there, we're gonna add on. Okay, from here, try to draw the knee up a little higher. The foot is still on the ground. Draw it toward your right elbow or your right shoulder. Keep drawing it up until you feel some outer hip engagement, outer glute engagement. And then bring the foot flat and slide the leg out. So now we're gonna go a little farther. Open the leg out to the side, slide it up. And then slide it up a little higher, engage those muscles, and now lift the foot off the floor. And then release the foot, bring the foot flat, and extend the leg out. Okay, so let's do that again, same leg. Externally rotate, slide the foot up. Slide it up, slide the knee up a little higher, get that outer hip to engage, and then lift the foot. This time, stay there, the foot is lifted, and start to straighten the leg out to the right. Go slowly, rebend, set the foot down, extend the leg out straight on your mat. Okay, so let's do that one again. Roll the leg open, slide the foot up, and then the foot's gonna come away from that inner thigh as you slide the knee towards your arm. Lift the foot, extend the leg out to the side. And now bring the leg straight up toward the ceiling. And then bend the knee, set the foot down, and extend the leg. So now we've added bringing that leg back up to straight. Externally rotate, slide the foot up. Keep going, slide that knee toward the arm, lift the foot, extend the leg out to the side, and then slowly bring that leg back up. Use a little resistance, and now take that foot and roll over to the left and tap that foot over toward the floor. And maybe it'll make it to the floor, maybe it won't. I'm a little close to my wall, so I can't get all the way. And then I'm gonna bring that leg back up to center, bend the knee, foot down, and extend the legs. That's the full pattern now. Move over a little bit. Let's do it 2 more rounds all the way through. So externally rotate your whole leg, then bend it. Slide the foot up. And then knee comes toward your elbow or your shoulder. Lift the foot, extend the leg out to the side. Slowly bring it up. And as you bring it up, you might notice your other leg starts to engage. And then take it over into the twist. Roll onto your left outer hip. Tap the foot to the floor if you can. And then bring it back up to straight. And extend the foot, place the foot down, extend the leg out. Okay, let's do that 1 more round, then we've got another side to go. Externally rotate. Slide the foot up. Draw that knee up higher, lift the foot. Extend the leg. And then slowly bring it up. And tap it over to the other side, come into a twist. And then bring the leg back up to vertical, set the foot down, slide the leg out, and now pause. And just feel that right side, right leg compared to the left for a moment. Take an inhale and an exhale. And then we're gonna do the other side. So I'm gonna turn around so I'm not facing toward the wall. Okay. So now we're gonna bring that left leg, externally rotate, slide the foot up like tree pose, and then bring the foot flat and extend the leg. So just starting out real simple, we're not gonna go all the way. We build it up like we did on the first side. Externally rotate, slide the foot up, bring the foot flat, and extend. Okay, and then adding on, externally rotate, slide the foot up. Now slide that knee up, 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 and see if you can get that outer hip, outer glute to turn on. Foot flat and extend the leg. Okay, and continue. Externally rotate, slide it up. Bring that knee out toward the side. Notice those outer glute muscles turn on, and then lift your foot off the floor. Foot comes back down, foot comes flat, knee up, and extend the leg. So for balance, those outer hip muscles are super important, so we're kind of focusing on those a bit. Let's keep it going. Slide it up, lift the foot. Now extend the leg to the side and reach through your heel. The foot is flexed. Rebend the knee, set the foot down, slide it out. All right, let's do that again. Externally rotate, slide the foot up, slide the knee up a little higher, lift the foot. Extend the leg. And now with the foot flexed, bring it up to vertical, back to the center, and then foot down and slide it out. Okay, last round, we're gonna add the twist. Externally rotate, slide the foot up, slide the knee a little higher, lift the foot. Extend the leg, reach through your heel, bring that foot up to vertical, and then tap it over to your right. Maybe it gets to the floor, maybe it doesn't. And then bring it back up to the center. Set the foot down, extend the leg out. Okay, let's do 2 more rounds now with that full cycle on your own. Again, notice as you start to bring that leg up, the right outer hip starts to turn on. And we'll be working with those outer hips a little bit more in our practice as we get into our standing work. One more time. And then go ahead, slide both legs out, take a little pause and breathe. So good to work with the hips as we move into spring. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the root chakra, the earth element. The second chakra is the hips and pelvis, and it's water. And when you put earth and water together, what you get is mud. And sometimes spring is called mud season, especially up in New England. The snow melts and then the ground gets really muddy. And the same thing can happen in our bodies. We can get kind of muddy and kind of thick and stuck in our bodies over the winter. And so we want to loosen things up as we get into spring. Okay, now externally rotate both legs, slide both feet up, and then bring the knees together and bring them in toward your chest. Give them a hug. Now we're going to reach through the inner legs, take the knees apart and reach down and hold your ankles. So we're in the air bound angle, I call it. So it's bound angle pose, but on your back. Feet do not have to touch, although they might. And we're going to take the right foot and bring it up into a half happy baby. And then bring the right foot back down. Left foot into half happy baby. And bring it back down. Right foot half happy baby, or straighten the leg out to the side. Keep holding on if you can, and then bring that foot back to bound angle. Left foot comes up, half happy baby, or extend it out to the side. And then rebend and bring the feet back to air bound angle. Pause there. We're also working with the inseam and the outseam of the legs. So inner legs is the pathway of liver, outer legs is pathway of gallbladder, and they are the dominant organs of springtime. So from here, we're going to take both feet up into happy baby, so full happy baby. And then both feet back together. And again, both feet happy baby, or extend the legs out to the side and open up the inner thighs. And then bring it back in to your bound ankle. One more time, either happy baby or extend the legs out. Good, and bring it back in and knees together. Set the feet down, take a pause. All right, so one more movement here on our backs before we come up. So this one is called the flower. You may have done this one with me before. It's a somatic movement, but I thought since it's the first day of spring, we do the flower movement. We're gonna have our arms at our sides, not out to a T, but like halfway down. So slight angle. And we're gonna start the upper body first, then we'll add the lower body. So as you inhale, we're gonna roll the arms open and then arch your back like you're doing cat-cow and let your shoulder blades start to squeeze in and down. And then as you exhale, we're gonna roll the arms in toward the chest. The chest is gonna cave in, the shoulders squeeze in, and the head drops back, open the throat. Inhale, roll the arms open, arch the back. Exhale, roll the arms in toward the side body, shoulders in toward the chest, and round. So it's like a cat-cow with this rolling shoulder action. And this one's good for breaking up some tension in the upper body. So if we're trying to balance and we're rounded in our upper back, that can prevent us from balancing. And also, when we think about the transition from spring, or winter rather, to spring, we sometimes can get a little heavy and congestion in the chest and the throat. And that's really the body trying to cleanse itself. We get congestion, we're trying to clear something out. Let's add the legs. So next time you roll your arms open and you arch your back, drop your knees open like bound angle. And arch, roll the arms open, and then exhale, roll the arms in, bring the legs together, squeeze the inner thighs, and roll the shoulders forward. And now continue, this is the full flower. So you think about your body opening, closing like a flower. And so we want to really kind of warm up the chest area, get stimulation in there with our movements to break up that congestion, encourage it to clear up. Nice full breaths here will also help, and we're going to do 2 more rounds. Remember to go slowly with your somatic work and pay attention to your body. Every time we open the knees, we're also starting to engage those outer hips. So notice as you arch your back, your outer hips engage. And then finish that last one. And come back to neutral. Slide your legs out and take a pause. And now in the pause, the outer body is still, but the inner body, there's still movement, there's pulsation, there's heartbeat, there's blood flow, there's circulation. Let's tune in to what you feel in your body. All right, let's go ahead and bend the knees. Bring them into the chest, give them a good hug, rock a little bit, circle. And we're gonna come over onto our side and up into a seated posture. And feel free to sit up on something if you like. We'll sit up on a pillow or a blanket. All right. Like you got a private lesson today. Okay, we're gonna sit up nice and tall. And we're gonna bring our 2 palms together. We're going to work with mudra today. So mudra are hand positions, and we're going to work with lotus flower mudra because, again, kind of going that flower theme. So take a moment first with your hands at your heart and come into your breath. Let's close the eyes or find a soft focal point. And I'm going to just read a little something to you. So spring is a time of renewal, a time of rebirth. And as you stay with your breath, consider what you are welcoming in as you enter this new phase of light and life. What is the intention you are setting for yourself at this time of budding energy? Try to capture your spring intention in a word that makes sense for you. So maybe it's a word like joy or abundance. And on each inhale, we're going to say internally to ourselves, I am, and whatever that word is, I am joyful, I am abundant, I am healthy, I am vibrant. So any word that makes sense for you. And as you exhale, imagine it just radiating out through your being, through your mind, through your body, through your soul. And then from here, just take a little bow towards your heart, honoring your intention. And then lift your gaze and move your palms slightly forward away from your chest. And from here, we're going to open into that lotus flower mudra. So the thumb stays together, the pinky stays together. And just a little meditative movement here. So maybe you want to close your eyes again. And start to slowly bring your ring fingers together to touch and feel those finger pads touch. And then separate the fingers again to your lotus mudra. And then middle finger touch. And then separate. And then index finger touch. And separate. Open that lotus flower. Come back to your intention. And then start to reach it up overhead as if you're offering it up. Reach it all the way up toward the ceiling. Straighten the arms. Maybe turn your gaze up. Look up as if you're looking toward the light, toward the sun. And then bring it back down to your heart center. Very good. Okay, release your hands down. And we're going to come into bound angles, so soles of the feet together. So a lot of this hip opening work today. Okay, so take an inhale, and as you exhale, hinge and fold. Take a few breaths. And then slowly start to come back up. Draw your knees up, feet flat. Bring your palms back together in front of your heart. And then from here, lean back a little bit. And we're going to try and get the feet up off the floor. So I'm going to just shift to sideways. Get your feet up off the floor. So we're balancing on our sit bones toward the back of our sit bones. And we're going to try and get the spine to move in and the collarbones to spread open wide. From here, open to your lotus mudra. Good. And if you can, lift the feet a little higher. And then maybe reach that lotus flower up and overhead while you're in your boat pose. Stretch it up really high. And then bring your hands back to your heart. And then soles of the feet together. Come back to your bound angle. Now slide the feet forward. So we come into a longer bound angle. Scoot your sit bones a little back so they're not tucked under. Inhale, reach your arms up. And exhale, fold. Now, if you have any discomfort here, you can always put your blocks under your knees. I'm okay, so I'm going to skip that. And then take a couple of breaths again in this fold. So the bound angle is also sometimes called butterfly pose. So this is the long leg butterfly. Legs are out a little longer. And it'll hit those outer legs, that gallbladder channel, a little bit more. than when the legs are pulled in. The liver gallbladder represents the wood element, as we talked about when we did our Year of the Dragon practice. And wood is the element of springtime in Chinese medicine. One more breath here. And then slowly start to come up. Bring your feet flat again. One more round of boat, hands in front of your heart. Good. Bring those feet up, lean back on your sit bones. Open your lotus flower, reach it up, 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 up. Good, maybe you're gonna straighten your legs this time, maybe not. Totally up to you. Legs bent or straight, and then bring your hands back to your heart. We're gonna come into a prayer twist to your right. Good, and then inhale, arms back up. Exhale, prayer twist to your left. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, feet down, come back to your bound ankle, and once again, fold over the legs. Okay, slowly start to come up. Use your hands, draw your knees up, and let's come into tabletop position. 5 rounds of our cat-cows. So inhale, arching the back, exhale, round. Then we'll do 5 rounds and meet in child's pose. Then we'll come back to see if we can focus on that even cycle of breath. So think about, is your inhale and your exhale kind of the same length? And if not, can you try to even that out? That might mean bringing a count back in for a few cycles, just to regulate. And then after that 5th round, go ahead and move it back to your child's pose. Take a brief rest. Okay, so we're going to take any blankets off your mat if you have something down, so we can come up for standing work. And then find your way into downward facing dog. Now, once you're in your dog, first round, let's go ahead, pedal out the feet a bit, bend one knee and then the other. And make sure you're paying attention to your palms and what is the weight like in your palms. Sometimes we put more weight on our pinky edge. Can we balance out the weight in the palms by pressing into the thumb and index finger side of the palm a little more? So we balance that weight out. Okay, pause in your dog and take an even cycle of breath. Then move your thighs back, lift your sit bones up. Heels do not have to get to the ground, because if we do, sometimes that rounds our back. So I like to just keep the heels a little up, and that'll help lengthen the lower back. Then let's walk it forward, top of the mat. Come into a halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale all the way up, reach the arms overhead. And exhale, we're gonna bring the hands to the heart. Very good. Okay, we're gonna be starting to weave in some different balance work into our flows. So we'll bring in some sun salutations and we're gonna work on some balance. So from here, hands to your hips. Take your right foot, step it behind your left foot. So not super tricky balance, but a little bit, because we're not both feet on the floor. So we're kind of asymmetrical here. Then we're gonna take the arms and reach them up. Hold your right wrist with your left hand. Inhale, reach high. And then side bend toward that back foot. Inner thighs hug together. Hold it there, one more breath. And then slowly start to come up and step that foot back. Good, release your arms down, take a breath. And then other side. Left foot's gonna step behind. Take the arms up. Hold your left wrist. Inhale, reach up. Side bend toward your right. And we're opening up that gallbladder channel on the side body. Good. Slowly start to come up. Step it back to center. Fold forward over your legs. Halfway lift, inhale. Step back, plank pose, top of a push-up. Drop knees if you prefer. Balance the weight in your palms and then lower all the way to your belly. Reach back through your legs. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take an inhale here. Exhale, walk it forward, top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale, nice long spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Good. Step your right foot out to the side. It's a little different now. We're not stepping it behind. Inhale, reach your arms up. Hold your left wrist. Inhale, get as tall as you can, and at the same time, root your left leg and foot into the ground. We're gonna side bend toward that right leg. Again, stretching out that gallbladder channel on the side body. Inhale, come up. Release back to the start. Okay, other foot, step it out to the side. Reach your arms up, hold your right wrist. Get tall and root your right leg into the ground. And side bend. So we've been working with the earth element. We did it with the twists last week. And now with balance. Go ahead, release, come back to center, fold forward over your legs. Another sun salutation. Halfway lift, step back, plank pose. Lower down, you can drop knees if you like. Inhale, cobra, shoulders back, open the chest. Downward facing dog, balancing the weight in your palms. Take an inhale here. Exhale, walk it forward, top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms reach. And hands to the heart. Now we're going to put those two movements together that we just did. So the stepping behind and then the stepping to the side. So hands on the hips. Step your right foot behind. Reach your arms up. Hold your right wrist. Lengthen up tall and side bend toward your left. Okay, come up to vertical. Step that right foot to the right. Good. Side bend to the right. Inhale, come up. And now an extra challenge if you want. Try to lift the right foot off the floor. Now, if you can't, leave the toe down and then side bend toward the right. Not going to go as far. That's okay. Let's see if you can lift that leg and engage that outer hip. And then release and fold over your legs. Halfway lift, fold forward, inhale all the way up, and then we'll do side two, hands to the heart. And then hands to the hip, just giving you a little bit of stability. Step your left foot behind. Reach the arms up, hold the left wrist. Inhale, get taller, side bend to your right. Good, come on up and step that foot out to the left. Keep the toe on the floor first round. Hold the opposite wrist and side bend. Opening up that side body, inhale, come up. You can repeat that or lift the leg. Flex the foot. See if you can get that outer hip to engage to lift that leg and then side bend toward the leg. Again, you might not go as far. That's okay. Okay, release the foot down, fold forward over your legs. Let's go into a full sun sal this time, halfway lift. Step back, plank pose. Lower down. Inhale, cobra, open up the chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take an inhale there. Exhale, walk it forward, top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Good. Okay, we're gonna add on to that now. So we're gonna repeat that little balancing sequence. We're gonna add in some eagle legs and a step back to a lunge. So do the best you can. It's a tricky kind of creative sequence I have today. So I know it's a lot on the legs, so do the best you can. Okay, so right foot steps back. Reach the arms up. Hold the wrist, side bend toward your left. Come back up, step that foot out to the side, and then side bend toward the right. And you can switch the hand on the wrist. Okay, come back up and bring your hands to your heart. From here, bend your standing leg a little bit and take the other leg, wrap it around into eagle. Now you could put your toe on the floor to modify. If you can, you're gonna keep that foot up, squeeze the legs, and maybe sit down a little lower. Good. Keep those palms pressing together. So I'm gonna turn this way now because I'm gonna be stepping back into my lunge. From here, unwind the leg. Step back into a lunge, and then drop down onto the back knee. Good. And then from here, lotus mudra. Open the lotus mudra, reach it up overhead. And if you want, you could slide a little deeper into your lunge by letting your pelvis come down, but keep that kind of hooking of the tailbone so we're not dumping into the low back. Reach up a little higher, press your front foot into the floor. And then from here, release your hands down to the floor. Lift your back knee. And then, I forgot to tell you, have your blocks, so grab your blocks. Place them under your hands, so they're under your shoulders. Okay, from here, shift your blocks a little forward and start to shift into a warrior three. So warrior three, we're gonna balance, so another balancing pose. Stay here. Hug your inner thighs together and press evenly into your palms. Now from here, we're gonna do a little open and close the hip. So first, make sure your gaze is down, so you're lengthening your neck. And then press your right foot into the floor and start to open your pelvis toward the left. So the left hip's gonna open, and then squeeze your right hip into the center. Keep that hip turning on as you rebalance your pelvis. Let's do that one more time. Turn the pelvis open. Root that standing leg down and firm the hip. And then rebalance the pelvis. Stay here and take your right arm forward if you want to go to the next level. Try to balance out your pelvis here, and then release your hand to the block, foot down, and fold over your legs. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Very good. Okay, so we got to do the other side, then we're going to start to cool it down a little bit. So hands on hips. Step your left foot back. Reach the arms up, hold your wrist, side bend toward your right. Come back up through center. Step that foot out to the side. Side bend toward your left. Inhale, come up, hands to your heart. Take that left leg around into eagle, and you might put your toes on the floor. See if you might sit back a little deeper. Good, and then I'm gonna turn around so I'm facing the other way. Start to unwind the leg, step it back into a lunge, and carefully lower that back knee down. Use your blocks if you need them. That's it, okay. Lotus mudra, reach it up and overhead. Hooking the tailbone forward, that's gonna engage that back outer glute again. And maybe slide deeper into your knee. But lift up nice and high. One more breath. Good, and then release your hands down to your blocks. Lift your back knee. Okay, from here, start to shift the blocks forward and come into warrior three. Back leg kind of parallel to the floor, turn your toes down. Press evenly into your blocks with both hands. And then we're gonna turn the pelvis open to the right. And squeeze that left hip into the middle. And then rebalance the pelvis. One more time, turn open, squeeze that outer hip in, and rebalance the pelvis. Stay here, back of neck long, like we talked about a few weeks ago, and then left arm forward if you want. And then while you're there, try to level out your pelvis. Release your hand down, release your foot down, fold over your legs. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. All right, take a moment there, standing in mountain pose. Feel both feet root evenly into the ground. See if you can feel balance in your feet, front to back, right to left. And then from here, standing on your right leg, turn that knee open, coming into tree pose, start in kickstand with the heel on the inner leg and the toes on the ground. Now your standing leg, find the earth element, root it down, try to get that outer hip muscle to firm in. So we don't want to let that hip pop out, keep it firming in. And then hands to heart. Open your lotus flower and reach it up overhead. Standing leg grows into the ground as the arms reach higher. And you can stay there or maybe pick that foot up and place it on your inner leg and find your balance. If you're really shaky, just keep that foot on the floor. One more breath, finding the polarity we talked about last week, ground and sky. Good, and release. Oh my gosh, I forgot. You didn't do this class last week because we didn't have class last week. Sorry about that. Those of you who were in person did it, but we didn't have Zoom last week. So you guys missed that twisting practice from last week. Let's do our tree pose on the other side. So standing on the left leg, we're gonna bring that heel up, hands at your heart. Keep that outer hip firming in. So we've really awakened that muscle tonight, and then lotus mudra, reach it up. Standing leg grows into the ground as the arms reach higher and higher, and you can stay right there, or bring that foot up and place it on the inner leg. And keep those outer hips hugging in, supporting the pelvis. One more breath. Good, and release. Foot down, hands down. Shake it out a little bit. And then let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift. Step to down dog. And then let's find a brief child's pose before we continue. So end of the standing sequence. We're gonna do a little more seated work. So take maybe 2 more breaths where you are. Okay, when you're ready, go ahead, come back up into a seated posture. And we're gonna return to bound angle, holding on to the ankles or the shins, and then lift up through your chest, lengthen the back of your neck. Good, from here, start to lean back, pick your feet up. And we're balancing on the sit bones like we did in our boat pose. And we're gonna take the shoulders back and try to get the spine to draw in. So we're not rounding and collapsing, we're lifting the chest. Good. From here, bring one foot out to the side. Remember we did that on our backs. And then bring that foot back in. Bring the other foot out to the side. You can keep it bent here initially. Bring it back in. Okay, let the feet come down. And this time use your peace fingers and you're gonna hook your big toes if you can. And then lean back and again, try to lift the chest. This time you can go ahead and take one leg out to the side. Maybe you're gonna straighten it this time. Good. And if you need to, you can hold on somewhere else. Bring it back in. So if you need to, you can hold your legs or hold your ankles. And then other side. Either keep it bent or straighten that leg. Bring it back in. Stay here, lift your chest, and maybe take both legs and balance on your sit bones. Good, lift up tall, you're more toward that back edge of your sit bones. And then feet together, back to bound angle. Okay, from here, cross your right leg in front of your left leg, so you're sitting crisscross. And we're gonna repeat a few of these balancing postures here seated, but now we're gonna try it with cross legs. So we're gonna lean back and see if you could reach down and grab the edges of your feet, the pinky toe edges if you can. Flex the feet and try to lift the chest. Good. Now if you can, bring those feet up a little higher and a little closer in toward your chest. And if you need to, go back to the bound angle. You can always repeat that. Good, now stay up there, let go, and cross your legs the other way. Good, and then hold the pinky edges of the feet. It's kind of fun. All right, and then bring that spine in, lift the chest. And then release back down to the floor. Very good, take a breath. We're gonna try one more round. You can repeat with the legs crossed, or we're gonna try half lotus. So I think we did that a few weeks ago. So now we're gonna go back to, so left foot comes in, right foot picks up, and see if you could bring your right foot on top of the left leg into half lotus. If that's not working for your knees, repeat cross legs, okay? And then lift up. And then you're gonna see if you can catch that opposite foot. Hold on wherever you can and lift up through the chest. Very good. Hold that. So you can bring those knees in a little closer. Good, and release. Okay, switch it out. Left leg on top for your half lotus, or you're crossing that opposite leg in the front. Lean back, balance, and see if you can hold that other foot. Try not to roll back. Bring those legs in, lift the chest. Good, and release. Very nice. Stretch the legs out wide. Scoot the sit bones back. Sit up on a prop if that's better for you. And you can always bend the knees. Put a prop under the knees if you have a little tightness in that back chain. You could stay here working on your spine, or if you want, we're gonna hinge and fold. And as you hinge and fold, you might decide to have your blocks under your forehead, depending on how far forward you come. And we're back to stretching the liver channel and the inner legs. And now let's stay here for a few breaths in that fold. Balancing out all that movement and activity and dynamic balancing posture with a little stillness. Last 2 breaths here. And then let's slowly start to bring ourselves back up. Very good. Okay, lean back, bring those legs back in. Sit up nice and tall. Just take a moment, sit here, the spine tall, close the eyes, come back to remembering your intention. Remembering your word that you chose, if you chose one. All right, so from here, we're gonna come onto our backs. Running out of time. Maybe you want a pillow for your head. We'll finish with a twist. You might need a block nearby for underneath your knees. I don't need it, so I'm gonna take those out of the way. So we're gonna come down onto our backs. And just for a moment, let your spine settle. Nice breath in and out. It should feel good after all that work we did tonight. Now, we're gonna take the hips and offset them to the right edge of your mat. And then take your right leg, drape it over your left, no space between your legs. And then let your legs fall over to the left into the twist, arms out to a T. Now, if this is a strain for you, you could try a block underneath your legs for a little support. Or if you need to, you could always uncross the legs. And then you're stretching that outer hip and outer glute. Sorry, the kitties want to come in, so I'll let them. They're scratching on the door. Here comes trouble. We're stretching that outer hip, outer glute that we worked so hard and all that balancing work. And also that gallbladder channel. We're gonna stay here for another minute or two. So liver gallbladder is wood element. And wood element is expansiveness, it's growth. It's everything awakening from the ground and growing toward the sky. So it's a very expansive energy. So we might also think about our own cycle of growth and in what ways we want to grow ourselves as we go into this new cycle. All right, let's take an inhale here, and as you exhale, uncross the legs, come back to center and even yourself out. Let your spine be neutral for a moment. And then we're gonna do the other side. So hips are gonna offset to your left side of your mat, left leg crosses over, and then legs fall to the right. Head might be neutral, or you could turn it away from your knees. And breathe. So when we move into the spring, which is officially later today, we're also moving into the beginning of the zodiac. So the Aries season begins. So it's like the new year in the astrological calendar. So it's like setting intentions for our new year, even though we use New Year in January, right? But Aries is the beginning of our zodiac cycle. Let's hold here for about 1 more minute. Nice breath in the belly. Let your arms now drape down, relax your body into the ground. Okay, last breath here. And then we're going to take that top leg, uncross it, even yourself out, come back through the center and neutralize your spine. Let's go ahead and bring both knees into the chest and make some little rocks or circles on your lower back. And if you want, let's go ahead and take it into our happy baby, which opens up the inner legs. And then maybe we're going to go into the straight leg position like we did when we were balancing. So legs might reach out toward the sides. But do keep your shoulders and your lower back relaxed here, so we're not rounding. And then we'll bring it back into center and back into the air-bound angle. So see if you could clasp your hands around your feet and stay there for another breath or two. I don't know why I let you guys in here. You're trouble. Okay, from here, let go of your feet. Keep the bound angle, but let the feet come to the floor. Okay, we're in the reclined bound angle. Now, some of you might want to have blocks under your knees. So I'm just going to grab those and show that. And we're going to stay there for a little bit. And we're going to return to our even breath cycle. Stop. Okay, so breathing into your belly, find that even inhale and exhale ratio. Balance your breath, Samavriti. And then if you get really comfortable with that even cycle of breath, we're going to try and move into box breathing tonight. So box breathing is when we inhale for a count, we pause for a count, we exhale, and then we pause at the bottom of the exhale. Now, box breathing, everything would be even, but initially we're going to go more for a rectangle. So finish your next exhale, and then inhale for whatever count you're working with, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And then pause. And then exhale the same count, 4, 5, or 6. And then pause at the bottom. And then once again, inhale. So it's maybe more of like a 1 to 2 count hold. So we're not at the box breathing just yet. Let's do that another round on your own. Inhale, pause. Exhale that same count and pause at the bottom. Now, if that has become comfortable for you, we're going to move into full box breathing. But no need to hurry. If it's not feeling, you're not ready yet, then just stick with those shorter holds. So if you want to move into full box breath, you're going to inhale. Let's say your count is 5. Hold it for 5. And then exhale, 5. And hold it out for 5. And if your number's different, work with that. And now on your own, continue. Maybe you're staying with the rectangle, maybe you're in full box breathing. And box breathing is really regulating for our breath, for our nervous system, and for our minds. Let's do 2 more rounds. If you feel uncomfortable or get out of breath, and make those holds shorter. 1 more round. After you finish that last round, return to a normal breath. And you can either stay in your bound angle if you like it there, or if you're feeling like you want to now straighten your legs, go ahead and straighten your legs. And we're going to take a few more minutes here in our Shavasana. And I'm going to share a little reading with you. And this is from Mary Oliver, a poem by Mary Oliver. It was spring, and finally I heard him among the first leaves, and I saw him clutching the limb. In an island of shade with his red-brown feathers, all trim and neat for the new year. First, I stood still and thought of nothing. And then I began to listen. And then I was filled with gladness. And that's when it happened, when I seemed to float, to be myself a wing or a tree. And I began to understand what the bird was saying. And the sands in the glass stopped for a pure white moment while gravity sprinkled upward like rain rising. And in fact, it became difficult to tell just what it was that was singing. It was the thrush for sure, but it seemed not a single thrush, but himself and all of his brothers, and also the trees around them, as well as the gliding long-tailed clouds and the perfectly blue sky. All of them were singing. And of course, yes, so it seemed, so was I. Such soft and solemn and perfect music doesn't last for more than a few moments. It's one of those magical places wise people like to talk about. One of the things they say about it that is true is that once you've been there, you're there forever. Listen, everyone has a chance. Is it spring? Is it morning? Are there trees near you? And does your own soul need comforting? Quick then, open the door and fly on your heavy feet. The song may already be drifting away. Take a couple of moments now and just notice the effect of your practice of working on all these different forms of balance, balancing out the weakness in our outer hips and standing on one leg, balancing our breath. And when you're ready, start to move gently. Try not to hurry. And take your time to come over onto your side. We'll have a pause on your side. Any movements you need to before getting there. And when you're ready, go ahead and come on up to a seated posture. And we're going to finish with one more balancing practice before we close. We have just a few minutes left. So we're going to do alternate nostril breath. So alternate nostril breath works with the hemispheres of our brain. So the left nostril would go toward our right brain and vice versa. And it's said to help balance out the brain. And the breath is said to work with polarity as well. So our left nostril is more like the moon. It's receptive, it's calming, gentle. And the right nostril is said to be more like the sun. It's heating, it's activating, it's energizing. And when we do both alternate nostrils, it's said to help bring balance to the brain. So we're going to use one hand to bring it in front of your face, and your thumb is going to be blocking your right. So I'm not going to mirror you on this because I don't want to mess myself up. Thumb is going to block the right, and then your pinky and your ring are going to block your left. The other two fingers can rest wherever they're comfortable, but don't block anything yet, just rest your hands there, okay? And then take an inhale through both nostrils. Exhale it out. Inhale again through both nostrils. Now block your right very gently, right at the cartilage there. You don't have to even close the whole nostril. And you're going to exhale through your left side. And then inhale through your left side. Close both sides for a brief pause. And then exhale, open the right, exhale right. Inhale right. Close the right, pause. Open the left, exhale through the left. Inhale left. Close, pause. Exhale right. Now, on your own, continue as your breath might be different than mine. Sometimes you can get out of breath if you follow me. And try to go for that box breathing. So can you count your inhale? Pause a little longer. See if you can pause for the same amount and then exhale. And maybe you need to stick to the shorter holds. This is pretty advanced. Do what you can. If your arm gets tired, hold your elbow with your other hand. Last round. Now finish with an inhale on your right. Close both for a pause. If you're not there yet, no worries, don't rush. And then after your pause, release your hand down and breathe out through both sides. And now take a couple of breaths through both nostrils. And then we'll bring our two palms together in front of the heart space. And take an inhale, and as you exhale, bow into your heart. Namaste.